modern women are entitled? What comes to mind? And we'll just go around the room periodically. So we'll start here. What comes to mind?
Modern women are entitled to what?
Entitled, like in terms of like dating, and in terms of their interactions with men. What comes to mind?
I think men allow them to be entitled. If anything, men allow us to be entitled. I'm not calling myself a modern day woman there, but I don't know. I feel like that's quite offensive. Modern day women are entitled. It's quite like, oh, I think it's quite offensive. But I also don't really know what you mean by it. So,
okay,
yeah,
pause that for a second. Wait. She's offended, but she don't know why. Don't you love that? It's offensive. Why is it? Well, I don't really know what you're saying, but it's offensive to me. That's like just such a beautiful moment right there. Okay, keep playing.
Okay, no problem. What do you think?
For me, I think it means that you feel like maybe our standards are too high, which I feel like they can never be too high. So I think, yeah, just go for what you want and don't settle.
Okay, all right, awesome. All right, next one.
It's a weird one. I don't know what you mean by entitled, like what the rest of the girls said, but I feel like that statement is so dated because it's coming from a place where I think it's coming from a place where we don't fit the standards of what women were, and that's where the entitlement comes in, if that makes sense. So just because we don't cook for every single man that we're with and clean and look after the baby doesn't mean that we're entitled, or because we expect a man to pay for the first date, I don't think that means that we're entitled, if that's what you mean by entitled.
Okay.
If not, then...
Okay. I mean, where does one even begin? I mean, sometimes I really just get a headache looking and listening. It's like insane. So first of all, that first woman says no standards can be too high. They can actually. They can, because what are you bringing to the table, right? So if your expectations are here, but you're doing what's here, well, then your standards are too high because you're not delivering. You got to bring something to the table too. This is not a one-way street. Secondly, your standards are too high if you're, let's say you're a woman who's, 35 and you have a kid with another guy, you're obese and you're not feminine and you don't want to take care of the home and you want a six-figure guy, your standards are too high because of what you're putting out there. So absolutely, your standards should be, and what you expect from a man should correlate with what you're bringing to the table. Because men also have to do that, right? Men can't have unrealistic standards of women. They bring nothing to the table and expect to get, a 10. It's just not going to work like that. You're not going to get a 10. That's just not how dating and relationships and the marketplace work. Secondly, my favorite is the second one, though. Yours too? She says that the idea is dated. The idea is dated because she's saying, well, just because a woman doesn't cook or clean or look after the baby and then expects a guy to pay for stuff, that doesn't mean she's entitled. That's the definition, honey, of entitled. What are you doing? If you're not doing any of those things, you're not doing any of the cooking, cleaning, looking after the baby, and you're expecting the guy to pay for everything, what are you bringing to the table? Tell me in list form. That is what entitled means. Because that means that you come to the table and you have a whole bunch of I won't do X, Y, and Z's. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. It's not 1950. I'm not going to clean the house and have dinner ready when you get home. But by the way, can we make it 1950 when you have to go out and work really hard all day and give me all the money and put a roof over our heads and protect me? So can we have the part of 1950 that we like and toss the part we don't? Does that appeal to you guys? I can't imagine why it doesn't. So again, here's a problem with modern women. First of all, there's a simple answer to the question, King Riches. Yes, modern women are entitled. Secondly, the problem is that they're often, again, have a separate set of rules. Like guys have to bring all these things to the table, but they get to say, well, I'm not going to do all these things. I just don't want to be that. So you still have to do all that, but I don't have to do this. Secondly, I think a lot of these modern women want like the NBA star wife life. Right? They're looking for like a guy who makes a lot of money. They're looking for like a setup, right? Their house is like they have the big old house, the beautiful car. They've got the husband who makes a lot of money, but they want their flexibility. They want to be able to work a little bit or not work a little bit. They want no real responsibility in the house though. They want that guy who makes a lot of money to provide a chef so she doesn't have to do the cooking, and to have a nanny so she doesn't have to be running around with the kids all day. She wants like a Kardashian life. and she also, by the way, wants that NBA star to be loyal and faithful, which is highly unrealistic. We have to just acknowledge. So you want to have your cake and eat it too. And what does that bring to the guy, actually? I'm just curious why he needs to have you there at all. If you're not taking care of the kids, you're not really, in that case, you're not working. You're not, well, what are you doing? Why? Nagging? Honestly, what are you doing? Why would he need? One of the reasons that people used to form unions was because men and women brought different things to the table. So you would have these instinctively nurturing women that wanted to have children and wanted to take care of their children and took pride in their home. And those were all things that men instinctively didn't do. But they appreciated it. They really appreciated what women brought to the table in that area and said, you know what, I love what my wife does for this home and family and all this stuff. This is beautiful. I can't do it. I'm not inclined to do it. I don't do it as well as she does. Awesome. And in turn, I'm going to do this other stuff that maybe she's not inclined to do. I'm going to go out and I'm going to work my construction job for 12 hours a day, and I'm going to breathe in all this garbage, and I'm going to come home covered in soot and dust, and I'm going to be doing the manual labor, and my wife's not going to want to do that, and she's not going to be inclined to do that, but I got that, and she's got this. And it was this complementary structure that happened in most households. It's not happening in a lot of households anymore. And people are getting increasingly more unhappy. And people are just expecting these marriages to work when this complementary structure has just decomposed before our very eyes. And it's something to talk about. Listen, I'm not saying, oh, women shouldn't work or this. I'm just saying, like, look at what's going on. And it's time to sometimes just assess if the situation has gone in a positive direction or not. If you've got less people who are happy, if you've got children in situations that aren't ideal for them, like if you've got a nanny culture where some stranger's coming in and raising the kids, then maybe you're in a structure that's not ideal for the family. Maybe it works for you and you go to Pilates, and you hop in your Mercedes-Benz and you hang out with your friends all day, and you're married, but you don't really have any of the duties of a wife, and you have a kid, but you don't really have any of the duties of a mom. Maybe that works for you, but how's that kid doing? So this is about more than just you. Or is it? We've got a bunch of selfish women too. Nasty. If you like the short clip and want to watch the full episode, click here. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one on Connect, you're going to click right here. Let's get to talking.